Michael Malice here. Let that be your welcome for the next hour. We've got our first return guest, a very special return guest. We have Anthony Cumia here, famously, formerly of Opie Anthony, author of the new book, Permanently Suspended, host of the Anthony Cumia Show on Compound Media, which is a welcome home of mine with my show, Nightshade. Anthony, thank you so much for being here.
Hi.
Your book's out today.
Yes, it's officially out today. Very excited.
I have read your book, and my worry was when you do a book with someone who is known for how they talk and for being a humorist, that it's all jokes, and it's not. It actually tells your story, and it was written correctly.
Thank you.
So I was very happy and relieved to see that.
That is good to hear from you. You're an author.
I am. I am. So I was like, okay, good. So I was not an Opie Anthony fan. I came from the Howard Stern school. Yeah. And because of the E! Show, I never listened to radio one way or another. One of the things that you talk about here is the relationship of your former show with Stern. Yeah. And you mentioned at one point that you had a Stern impression that would drive him crazy. So I've never heard this, and I'm very excited to hear it.
It was, all right, I did it on David Letterman once.
Okay.
The one time I was on David Letterman. And he's a big fan and friend of Howard's over the years. So I just decided, because Howard was always telling his listeners that everybody rips him off.
Yeah, right.
Ripping me off. So I went into,
he sued America's Got Talent, I believe.
Really?
Or the X Factor won them for ripping off his idea.
Ripping him off. Yeah. It was always, so I would just break into things like it's like Robin. I invented walking, Robin. The whole locomotion thing, one foot in front of the other. That was me, Robin. Okay, Jackie, you're an idiot. I would breathing. You ever see people breathe, Robin? Let me tell you about it. It's an inhaling, exhaling thing. And I invented it, Robin.
So,
me.
Was there a lot of... So when he would go off on these tears, which were clearly somewhat sincere...
Yeah.
Was there a lot of eye rolling on your part?
Sometimes, yeah. I took it for what it was, entertaining, you know? It's funny, and radio wars are probably the most ridiculous things ever, ever, ever. I've been in so many over the years, and I'll be damned if I could remember the reason for one of them. There's never a reason. It's ridiculous. It's childish. It's now hacky and stupid. Yeah, kick that guy's ass. No, you won't. You'll see him at some dumb radio event, some Marconi Award thing. While you trash the business behind the mic and the executives and everybody, you'll go to the award thing and go, I hope I won. I hope they like me and I'm accepted. But then you'll see these people that you're at war with, and it's like, hey, how you doing?
I remember one reason you had a radio war, which is you and Stuttering John.
Oh, well, that was very recent.
That was very recent. So Stuttering John was on Compound.
Yeah.
And then you went to see his stand-up show. And you were like, oh, it wasn't hard. Let's just say it wasn't hard to get parking. And John goes nuclear on you and Artie. He has this whole podcast about how your show's like a Klan rally. It's the most racist thing I've ever seen. And then just last night, he went to your Klan rally.
Yes, he did. Because even if a Klan rally is going to sell some books, maybe, that's what he decided to do. Go to the Klan rally. He put on the white sheet and the hood and... Got right in.
Was it weird seeing him and talking to him after he talked so much shit on you and Artie?
If it was someone else, it might be weird. But it's John. He's a goofy guy. He's a little confused at times. So I didn't really. I got mad at the time, because Artie Lange told me, he goes, when you're busting John's balls, he'll come back with like the worst thing ever. You just tell a joke. Like, hey, John, you were stuttering on that thing. It's like, oh, and your father's dead. So you kind of he gets very personal very quickly. So it de-escalated into that. And we kind of had a beef. But it was all Twitter. Again, it's all Twitter. It's in the public eye, which is ridiculous. It wasn't face-to-face. There was no fists thrown or anything. There were threats made, but they never come to fruition. So that was it. And then he was on the show, and it's like, hey, John, how you doing? Whatever. I don't hold grudges. except for maybe 2 or 3 people.
So one of those is Opie.
Right. Well, even him, I don't hold a grudge. It's like if he wanted to do my show or he wanted me to do his show, I would do it. I don't care. I don't have any there's no problem that huge with Opie that would make it so I couldn't sit down and talk to him. You know, we made each other a lot of money and very good careers. So what am I going to be mad at? You know, that he's passive aggressive or pushy or, you know, kind of bitchy, things like that. You know, whatever. We all have our personality flaws.
Well, I think bitchy is a positive quality.
Bitchy, yeah.
I do
maybe.
like bitchy.
I don't even. I mean bitchy like
being a bitch.
You were going out with a bitch.
Yeah.
And they demanded more of your time. That seems to be what part of the problem was.
So not that long ago, I was on Rogan last week. You're going to be on next week, I believe.
Yes.
So Opie sent out this video, which was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. Weird. And I wanted your comments on it because, again, I don't know the guy. You know him extremely well.
Yeah.
And it's basic. I almost remember it verbatim because I was trying to deconstruct it.
Yeah.
To figure.
Good luck.
Because, no, I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Right? Because a lot of times you know what it's like. You see something out of context and then it's like, no, you don't know the backstory here. Or maybe it's someone making references. And then, so it's him with his cell and he's spinning around on the streets of Manhattan for some reason. Again, I don't get it, but that doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means I don't get it.
Just don't get it, right?
And he goes, hey, Joe Rogan, I sent you a tweet and you never replied. What's that about? And he goes, I said... your congratulations on your special, which was awesome.
You did really study this.
I did. I said, congratulations on all your newfound success. He never wrote me back. He's like, can you explain? Can you explain why? And I was just watching this, and I'm like, sometimes a lack of a response is a response.
That is true. Yeah. One part that because I studied it too.
Yeah. Okay.
One part that I really liked was when he said, "No pressure." It's like, if it's no pressure, you asked him to be on the show. He didn't respond. No pressure is you just leave it at that.
Right. Pressure
is you go on the internet.
No. Pressure is when someone doesn't respond to your DM, then you text them.
Yes.
And then so that's a normal level of pressure. Maybe you didn't see my DM. You got a lot of DMs. Then we go to making a video publicly.
Yeah. Publicly making a video. And the video itself isn't even just a video of him asking for Joe to be on the show. It's a video requesting an explanation as to why he didn't get back to him.
Because he said, I know I didn't do anything to you.
Yeah.
And it's like, no one owes you anything.
He's so weird.
So I'm trying to explain to me what I'm missing with this video because it made no sense to me and I'm an immigrant.
It makes no sense to anybody, but I'll try to put some sense to it, having known Opie for so long. Joe had done my show.
Which is airing, this week or next week? Next week.
Yeah, that's right. It was a pre-tape. So he had done my show, and Opie found out about it. Now, when it was the Opie and Anthony show, any guest that would come on, Opie deemed that they were now friends. And I never got that. So people come on the show, and you have a great time while they're there, and then that's it. And then maybe it'll happen again when the next thing they have to promote comes out. But it's not a friendship. And Opie always took it as a friendship. And he takes everything very personally.
Okay.
So if Joe didn't get back to him, that wasn't just a guest not getting back to a request to be on the show. That was an insult as a friend not getting back to him.
But okay, that I can wrap my head around because I do think if you sit around and you're busting balls with someone for a few hours in the morning, you can feel this kind of friendship thing.
Right.
I can understand that. What I don't understand is if your friend doesn't get back to you, why are you making a video to your friend?
You would never do that.
Right.
One of my bestest friends ever is Joe Curry, a comic. I've known him since high school. And if I texted him, he didn't get back to me. If I grabbed my phone and started spinning around Manhattan asking why he didn't get back to me, he would shoot me in the face next time he saw me.
Correctly.
And yes, well, he should. Opie just takes everything very personally. Rogan, I didn't even know about it. Rogan texted me with the video clip and he goes, "What the hell is this?" Like I have the explanation, you know? I'm like, I have no idea. He said he texted me. He goes, he doesn't even have my number. So I don't know who he's texting.
So someone's getting a text from Opie that says, "Hey, we'd love to invite you on Opie Radio podcast."
Yeah.
And the guy, whoever that was, goes, "Sorry, I'm not even going to reply to this."
Who? I'm not replying to it. And he spawned a spinning video in Manhattan.
So from your perspective, I feel like this is a weird question I have to ask anyway. It sounds like he doesn't ever address you publicly, or there's like little shots, but he's all over your shit.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And how can he not? You and him till the day you die will always be joined together.
We're
in the public
linked.
mind. Yeah, permanently.
We're linked in the cosmos. It's just what it was. It's a piece of radio history, and that's it. And I'm fine with that. I have no problem. I think Opie wants to try to. He likes being able to reference the Opie and Anthony show in that it did very well. We had great ratings. It was very popular.
Does he want to bleep it? The Opie and Boop show?
Yeah. Maybe he wants the Opie and Boop show. So he wants to have that acknowledged and let that work for him now in some capacity. But I really believe, and based on what he's doing now and what he's trying to do and the people he's associating with, that he wants to wash himself of all the sins of the O&A show. And that doesn't come off.
You know what this is like? This is like Hillary Clinton being like, "I've held this experience," but then when they ask her about what about these scandals, like, "Well, we resolved that in the 90s." And it's like, you can't have it both ways.
You can't.
Like, either you're going to take credit for the economy in the 90s, but you're also taking credit for all the people you murdered.
For all the... for all the people you killed.
Yeah.
You have to.
They go together.
Be accountable for that. Opie doesn't want to do that. He wants to move on. And I honestly think he pictures himself but you know, he's no kid either. Ryan Seacrest. Like he thinks he could be Ryan Seacrest, where a very popular, highly rated radio station like K-Rock out in LA calls him and goes, "Oh my God, you're the guy. We need you. Come on out here, spin a few records, talk pop culture. You know, the families love you, the moms love you. Come on out here." And one Google search, and that will never, ever happen, especially in 2018.
And I do want to make clear, in the book, you are not just there trashing him. You spend a lot of time praising him, and giving him credit for what he contributed to your life.
Oh yeah, you know, he had to make a decision. Now, whether it was selfishly based on I need somebody to help boost my career,
right,
or it was just, hey, that guy's talented. Let me, you know, and I think it's a combination of the two. I think he saw something in me that he knew would work well on radio, and he'd rather have it work well for him. So when he brought me on board, I didn't know anything.
Right.
I knew nothing. I was happy to be their guy, and I would do anything. Like, you know, do an impression. Yep, you got it. Do this. You got to stay until 11 o'clock tonight and record commercials for a head shop in Massachusetts. I'm there.
Yeah.
I love it, and I did love it. So in that sense, absolutely, I give him so much credit for that. And he's a by-the-book radio guy. I think he wanted to be more like Howard, but he was more like just a spin the records kind of jock and have some light conversation.
And he was more like Robin. But Robin had a very important role in that show.
Right.
She's the anchor. She grounds it in reality. Otherwise, it would be like Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Right. And I've heard some of Howard's shows when Robin was out, and it was Jackie and Fred and Howard and stuff, and it was pandemonium.
Yeah.
There was no focal point to the show. It was all over the place.
And not a good pandemonium.
No, not a good pandemonium. It definitely affected the show negatively when she wasn't there. And I think Opie obviously needed a second person. That was me, and it worked well for a while until, again, Opie takes everything very personally. So when I became single, when my marriage broke up, and his girlfriend and my wife were very good friends at the time. Me and Opie, very good friends. We were the Four Musketeers doing everything together on this amazing journey of radio. And when my marriage broke up, it broke up the whole thing in a way. He had to commiserate with his girlfriend.
Right.
I was doing things like going out and partying a lot more. And it was just, he didn't like that. and he let it be known, not so much to my face, but with little passive-aggressive things, and I could tell when he was pissed. And from that point on, once we brought Jim Norton on board, then it really started taking a nosedive, because I think he was very resentful of the relationship me and Jimmy had, and our on-air camaraderie and mutual sick sense of humor. I think he started resenting that. A lot of listeners were going, "Oh my God, did you hear Anthony and Jimmy today?"
Guys, holiday season is here, and a lot of you are traveling, so I want to tell you about autoslash.com, and the first thing I want to tell you, that it's free. You don't need a promo code. It's the #1 site for getting a deal on a car rental. They figure out the best coupons and discount codes, they get you the lowest rate possible, and then they track prices on your rental right up until the day you pick up the car. That's the magic of autoslash.com. Car rental prices fluctuate constantly, and Autoslash nabs them when they're down, so you can rent a car at the lowest rate. You save an average of 30% using autoslash.com. They've saved customers millions of dollars on car rentals. Here's how. They search all the major rental companies like Avis, Hertz, Thrifty. You get the best deals. Then they search for hundreds of coupons and discount codes for all of them to get the lowest rate. They also apply discounts based on your membership affiliations, such as AAA and Costco, and apply every coupon you're eligible for. Then they track your rental once you've booked it. If the rate drops, they alert you so you can rebook and save, and it's completely free. It's like your personal executive assistant for car rentals. You tell them when you're renting, then they go search for coupons and the best rate and send you an email with your best options. It takes all the hassle out of finding a rental and makes it affordable. Autoslash.com, there's no need for a promo code. Yeah, Jim wrote the foreword for this book. It was a great moment when I was doing your show, and Jimmy came in as a surprise guest.
Yeah.
And he basically completely talked over me, and Allie, who books the show, was apologetic. I go, this was the biggest treasure I could have gotten, because I had a front row seat to see you guys do your thing. And I was so happy to sit back and shut up and be literally, elbow to elbow with him. It was such a treat for me. Do you know what I mean? So like, it's such magic when you guys are all in the room. So one of the things that he talks about in the foreword was he was ready to walk from the show.
Yeah.
And he called you up for advice, and you were basically like, you fucking dope, take the money.
Yeah. Yeah, he couldn't understand. He's like, there's this Opie, and I've had it with him. I've just had it. I'm going in there all stressed out. I can't concentrate. It's terrible. He's going to management and saying things about me. And he totally didn't know I was going through the same thing.
Right.
I was like, Jimmy, yeah, I know. Just hang out and get paid, and we laugh, and we go home after 4 hours. You got 20 Opie-less hours every day.
Yeah.
So that's how I would look at it. It was a revelation to him. He's like, oh my God, you're going through the same thing. Like, yeah. What do you think? I go in there and I'm having a great time with him?
Right.
I'm just having a great time.
Yeah. So one of the things that's interesting, so you're like the maybe more the wild card of the two, right? But in many ways, you were being the professional in the sense that you were changing your behavior to accommodate the relationship.
Yeah.
Do you think he was in any way changing his behavior to accommodate you or Jim?
No. I think he was stuffing a lot of stuff down, which we were doing in a way too, but I was fine with it. Like, it didn't bother me that I would go in and work 4 hours a day with somebody that I didn't really care for,
right?
And at times really didn't like. But I had been in jobs where maybe there were 5 people on the job I couldn't stand. And I was there for 8 hours a day. Like, you work with people you don't like sometimes.
Right.
Most of the time. If you're in a cubicle and there's people working around you that you don't like, what do? Do you leave? Do you go, I've had it, I'm moving on? Maybe, but if it's a good gig, what are you doing? You're not gonna find a place where you're working with everyone you like.
And especially if your job is laughing.
Yeah, your job is having fun, busting balls, making jokes with Jim Norton and some of the greatest comics to come out of New York City. Just an amazing job. Why would you let the fact that I didn't text you that week get in the way? Like, we got to communicate more. He was into this communication thing. And he took it as a personal affront that I didn't call him or text him about things. And I'm like, I was begging him. I go, please, talk to my family. I don't call or text my own family. He's like, dude, you never even been to my house, dude. Never came to my house. I'm like, all right, get everyone in here. I'm like, E-Rock, ever been to your house? Nope. Jimmy, have I ever been to your apartment? Nope. Sam? Nope. Travis? Nope. I've never been to anyone's house that I worked with over the entire time. I consider Jim Norton one of my best friends ever. Never been to his place. I don't know what his his first one, the one he has now, never been there. Don't care. Don't care to see it.
But in his head, it's like, yeah, who cares about these people? It's Opie and Anthony.
Right.
So that's irrelevant.
Why wouldn't you come to my house? And I really, like I said, when I was happy to be their guy when I first started, I was accommodating.
Yeah.
Like he'd be like, "Hey, come on over." I remember in New York when
you
we
told
were
this
still
story
at PAB.
when you thought he was going to have this rich, fancy
yeah,
house. Tell that
he's
story.
He's going to be rich.
Yeah, this is in the book. This is hilarious.
Mansion.
Yeah.
And I pull up in Northport, and it was just this.
No, because you're starting. The guy's big on radio.
Yeah.
So when you're young, it's like, oh, you're on the radio. You must be a trillionaire.
How naive,
right?
You know?
And you show up at his house.
Yeah, and it's in Northport, which is a nice town, nice little nautical town on Long Island. And I see this. It's like a rental, kind of a crappy house, and I'm like, this can't be it. And I see Opie outside, like waving, "Hey, how you doing?" And then to rationalize it, I was like, oh, it must be his summer home.
Is that really what you thought?
Yeah, he must summer here in Northport, and his mansion has to be somewhere else. Oh, God, was I wrong? Yeah, I had it all wrong. But I was, I would go over there. I would hang out. If he called and was like, Anthony, can we get together here? I want to talk about something with the show. I was gone in a second. And I would text him and call him or whatever. And we had a good relationship at that point.
Let me get Ricky. Can you get this because the chat's not working? I don't see a cursor. One of the things I wanted to ask about you had giants walking through that studio. That people who are just A-listers, unquestioned comedy legends. Tell me the story of how you found out about Patrice passing, because he was a big guy on that show. Everyone loves him.
Yeah. It was a day I came in to do the show, and Jimmy
had he been sick?
No, this was when he got sick.
Okay,
I came in to do the show, and Jimmy was absolutely like, I could tell something was wrong, and he didn't want to say anything until after the show was over. And then he told us that Patrice had a stroke, and it was pretty bad, and he was hospitalized. He hadn't been conscious since he had it, and he was sick he was in the hospital for a while, and finally, again, Jimmy came in and was like, yeah, Patrice died.
So he told you on air or before the show?
Before the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's how you learned from Jim.
Yeah, I learned from Jim, and to see him like visibly upset and everything. Jimmy's gotten upset a couple of times on the show, where he was like to tears.
Yeah.
It lasts for a split second, but it's so upsetting. It's like watching a poor little puppy on one of those commercials, shaking with oozy eyes. Yeah. I just felt horrible for him, and it was weird. It was, he's one of those irreplaceable guys. Like there's no, this guy's another Patrice. If you ever hear that, just shut up. Don't. I love when people tell me that. Also, they're like, Anthony, I'd like to know, Patrice would say this about what you're doing or saying or this. Patrice wouldn't like. It's like, you really profess to know what Patrice would say.
Right.
The best thing about Patrice O'Neill was that you never knew what he was going to say or what angle he'd take on anything. I would get into discussions with Patrice and think, after he said something, I'd be like, I got him now. Oh, he's falling right into my trap. Next, when he stops talking, I'm going to jump in with this and slay him. And I would say something, and he'd come back with something so unexpected and brilliant, and it threw me for a loop that I just couldn't argue the point anymore. And I'm like, God damn it. And that's the kind of guy he was. You couldn't predict what he was going to say. Talk about honest. like to a fault, to the point where it cost him so many jobs. If Patrice played ball with Hollywood and companies like Comedy Central and things, he'd have been huge. He'd have been that other guy from the Hot Tub Time Machine and the other black guy from The Office and the other black guy from... But
Stanley?
Yeah. He'd have been that guy. But he just, he couldn't placate people.
Bernie Mac had that kind of idea. Bernie Mac, if you watch Kings of Comedy, he at one point goes to the camera, he goes, "No one's ever putting someone that's black on TV." But he was wrong. His show was on for a few years. It was a big success. So a lot of that could be a self-fulfilling prophecy, but of course we'll never know, unfortunately. Because he was very young too. Wasn't he in his 40s, early 40s, something?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, early 40s. And just really hitting his stride. Regardless of how much somebody doesn't want to work within the system of entertainment, there's only so much you can hold back when someone's brilliant like that. So Elephant in the Room, his last special he did, was like an amazing piece of comedy. And had he lived, I think that would have been that boost he needed to have everyone go, all right, he's a pain in the ass to work with, but goddamn, we got to work with him.
My favorite, probably, sponsor is HeshySocks.com. You guys know how much I love my HeshySocks.com. Most comfortable, kick-ass fashion socks for work or play. Dress shoes are uncomfortable, but they're comfortable when you wear HeshySocks.com. And here's the promo code. Welcome30 is 30% off. Here's what they're like. They're like pillows for your feet. If you got nice shoes, your feet hurt, you need Heshy socks. I wear them literally every day. They're my walking around the house socks. They're cushioned in the footbed. They heel in the toe. You get maximum comfort. They have arch support in the center of the foot. And the cotton they're made of is Pima cotton, which is super soft, highly breathable, and absorbent if your feet sweat. And it's antimicrobial, so it kills the bacteria and keeps your feet from stinking. They've got a bunch of different styles. They've got basic, they've got fashion, wear them with sneakers, wear them to work, everything. HeshySocks.com, HESHI socks.com. And if you use promo code WELCOME30, you get 30% off. Not too shabby. Speaking of youth, one of the things you talk about in your book is when you lost your virginity.
Oh, God, yeah.
And basically, I'm reading it, I'm like, this is statutory rape.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what it was called in the 70s. It wasn't called statutory rape.
I think it was.
It was called awesome. Yeah, it was, I was 13.
That's rape.
And she was 19.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think it was just the point where my dad was kind of like, oh, God, he's just like beating off like a monkey around the house. And it's time to just get
I hope that wasn't literally true.
Well, as much as any other kid, that just made that amazing discovery.
One of my favorite jokes from Roseanne, the original series, is they did an episode about DJ starting to jerk off.
Oh, jeez.
And they're sitting around the kitchen table. He's not there, and they're just all uncomfortable. And Darlene, Sarah Gilbert, who's got great delivery, she goes, I see him take the Sears catalog in there for like an hour. And she goes, which means he's either really good at it or really bad at it.
That's good. That's funny.
John Goodman's like, oh God, just kill me right now. Yeah, but so 13, your dad introduced you to this woman.
Yeah, we had known her. She had been a friend of the family, and she used to come down to the ranch and ride horses and things like that. So yeah, I had known her, and we kind of had a similar sense of humor. We liked Monty Python and things like that. Saturday Night Live was. I think, no, it wasn't even out yet.
That was 75, yeah.
Yeah, 75. But I was kind of hanging out and having sex with her for a few years after that, too. So whenever I needed.
There's something really fucked up. There's got to be a fetish where the girl is fucking a dude and he's getting taller constantly. That does not happen where your partner changes height over the course of the relationship unless there's amputation involved.
Unless there's amputation or some kind of radioactive waste monster movie thing. Yeah, I never really thought of that, but it was... No, I thought it was great. My whole mind was consumed with just that. So it kind of got it out of the way. Do
you know where she is, this woman?
No, her name was Christine. We called her Buzz. Everyone called her Buzz. And Last I heard, she was a Navy wife in San Diego.
Okay.
She's got to be in her 60s now, so it's just
God bless.
odd. But yeah, that was it. It was quite the moment.
Let's talk more about the Opie and Anthony fans, because a lot of them. You had this campaign on Twitter before you were permanently suspended.
Yeah,
wanting to get that subreddit shut down.
Yeah, at one point I did want to get it shut down because it was starting to affect my real life. I never cared what was written. Things ever since I started doing radio, things were written about me,
of course,
and not all nice. There are people that write just horrible things about me, my family, whatever. That's their prerogative. They can write whatever they want. When things started coming off the internet and affecting my actual real life, jobs, things like my family, my brother's gigs, because he plays in various bands, and they were calling venues and having his gigs canceled, sponsors for the show, things like that. It affects my real life financially, and it's unbelievably inappropriate. So yeah, at that point, that's targeted harassment, and there's no place for that.
Why do you think that these were your people, though? Why do you think they've turned in this way? Or have they always been this way, but now they have a capacity to actually do something with it?
Yeah, I think, contrary to popular opinion, it's a very small minority of the actual fans that we had. We had a hell of a lot of fans. A very small minority were very vocal, very loud, loved to be directly involved in the show. And I think we catered to a certain group of people that were just, they had nothing else. I mean, the show was everything to them. They knew every line, every bit. And when the show broke up, they felt like, the children of divorce. And they lashed out. I absolutely believe that. And I don't think a lot of them, of that small minority, just don't have the capacity to act in a civil society.
Yeah.
This is what they do. They're, I think, disturbed in a way, and they lash out like this by being horrible to people they have no idea who they are, that are doing things in their lives. I don't think that I found out who some of them are, whether through my own little investigations or other people telling me this is who this is. And every single case where I've found who they are just disasters as far as their lives go. Drug addicts, criminals, problems with abuse and their kids, and no jobs. They're all broke, and they're angry people. And when the show broke up, they spun it around and took it out on Opie and myself and Jimmy, because mommy and daddy weren't there anymore for them.
One of the things that you talk about in the book is after the show broke up, after you were fired. Obviously, it wasn't just a breakup. You were fired on your very publicly. So many people who you thought would have had your back just completely could not care less.
Yeah. There were a few that I do understand why. I almost look at it like in Goodfellas. What was that when Henry was in jail? He's like, Karen, when you're in jail, you got to fend for yourself. Yeah. What are you going to do? There's nobody in here but us, Karen. So I understand when you're in jail, you got to fend for yourself. And there are some people that you are no longer doing anything for them. You can't plug their gigs. Right. You can't do it. So, you're kind of out of sight, out of mind. And other people that actually have a problem with what got me fired. They actually buy into the racial angle of the whole thing, which has nothing to do with it. But, they bought into it. So there are some people that I still haven't spoken to. Some people that I've asked to be on the show numerous times, and they haven't answered.
Maybe you should
make a video.
Yeah, you're not spinning, dummy.
I should spin around. Yo, Jim Brewer, where you been, dude? Yeah.
One of the things you said in the book is that it really bothers you that people consider you a racist.
Yeah, it does. It really does. And it's so useless to go, I'm not a racist.
Right.
It's like, racist. But I'm the last person that would be a racist. I do nothing that would hurt anybody of any other racial makeup. I have my opinions. I have opinions about racial, about things in the news that are race-based, about race. I have opinions about community problems and their causes and possible solutions. We all do. We all have opinions. I never have used any power that I have had to oppress anybody of a different race because of their race. I think true equality is being able to call anybody an asshole,
right?
Regardless of their race. That's equality. You want equality? Here, you got to have everything that goes along with it. You can now be called incompetent without being going, well, you're saying that because I'm this or that. You could be called weak-minded, stupid. All that stuff has to fit in with equality, as does, equal pay and being able to access places and things and dues. People don't want equality, and I've always said this. They don't want equality. They want the fight for equality, the never-ending fight for equality. Because once you reach equality, you're just another schmuck on the train. You're just another jerk-off, faceless person that could be called a dope and not have any recourse or any excuse to get that person in trouble.
Talk a bit about your I don't have a segue here, but that's fine.
Fine.
About working with Artie Lange.
Oh, yeah,
because I mean, he has had at this point, and this is a joke, Artie. I'm a huge fan, and I'm not saying that sarcastically, ironically. He's had more noses than Joan Rivers at this point.
Yeah. Poor Artie.
So,
Poor
and
Artie.
you look at him, and I've known people who are addicts or recreational users.
Yeah.
There's a point. This was actually, I think they got this idea from Artie Lange. If you watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia, the last episode, which was on Thursday, Danny DeVito's character, Frank, has some kind of nosebleed, and he keeps stuffing it up with like a liquid cement and like orange juice. And over the course of the episode, they put makeup on him, obviously the actor, so he looks like a goblin.
Come on.
There's a point where clearly this isn't fun for you if your features are changing.
Yeah.
And that's scary to watch.
Yeah. The book actually ends with,
I know, with you hiring
still with
Artie.
Artie.
Did you not see this coming? Everyone saw this coming.
Yeah, but sometimes I'll call a bet when I have a draw on the river. You just hope for that lucky card. No, we knew hiring Artie would be great because he's funny.
Yeah.
He's got a name for himself. He did great on the Howard Stern show. But we knew the caveat there was he's an addict. And addicts are not very dependable. They can be two or more different people every time you see them.
Right.
So the consistency isn't there. And when he first came on board, we knew this. As it played out, you can imagine what it'll be like and go like, all right, we'll do this and that and the other thing. It'll work. Don't worry about it. But as it plays out in real time, you kind of start seeing like, oh, he's not here today. Like that's a problem.
Right.
That's kind of a problem. Or, oh, he's nodding off. That's kind of a problem. But the other times he's great and he's funny and you want that. Like that's what you want. So you take the other stuff. And I think he's used to that. A lot of his comic friends and family members and whatnot, they'll get that. It's like, God, that Artie is amazing. Like, I want that Artie.
One of the things you can definitely say about Opie is he would show up every day and he'd be ready. Right?
Oh, yeah.
You're not gonna and that counts for a lot.
Absolutely.
So when you're doing the show and Artie just no shows, you don't have a pamphlet for what to do. So I remember you'd be sitting there and you're like, do I cover for him? Do I not cover for him? I mean, what was your thought process when that kept happening?
Well, the good thing is I can do a show by myself.
Sure.
I could just go out there and talk about anything. But yeah, it was, how do I handle it?
Right.
Like, what do I say? Do I become the enabling battered wife?
Right.
Going like, no, he's okay. It's ran out of gas, and just keep making those excuses while everyone's like, oh God, Anthony, what are you doing?
Right.
We know what's going on. Or be honest. Well, I didn't want to rock the boat. And because again, that other Artie is amazing, and I wanted to do a show with Artie. So the more that started happening, and there were waves, he'd be fine for a few weeks, and then we'd be like, he's not showing up. So
nervous laughter.
yeah, a lot of nervous laughter. I found, again, I love the guy. But I found I was very anxious every day. I was getting anxious, going like, all right, we got this guest.
But that's addict behavior with like an alcoholic. You never know which dad is coming home.
Right.
Because you had that growing up.
Yes. Yeah. You never knew which or if he was coming home. So, yeah, that was a lot like that. So nervous laughter, a lot of nervous laughter.
You talk about financials in your book. I'm not going to get into the actual number, but if he wouldn't show up or he showed up an hour late of a 2-hour show, would he still get paid?
No.
Okay, that was in the contract.
Yeah, there was a thing where I guess if he showed up for the entire 8-hour week,
yeah, that's a lot of time. 8 hours, man.
8 hours. In a week.
What is he, a slave?
It was then there would be some kind of bonus, I think, involved.
Oh, okay.
I think
he tried to incentivize him.
He hit bonus once. I don't know. I don't know the business end of it, but I just you hope something happens where he gets better, because we've seen so many great guys just go away. Geraldo is such a great example of that, and I saw him very shortly before he OD'd. And you're like, oh, God, he seemed like he had his shit together. I saw him at Caroline's. I was talking to him, and it's like, God, this guy's really got it together. Cool. Oh, wait, what happened? Shocking, and that guy was brilliant. So there's only so much you could do.
Let's talk about things from the internet spilled over to your real life. You had Antifa protesting your book signing yesterday?
Yeah.
What happened last night?
3 mentally disturbed people. I don't even know what it's about, and they don't either. Like, my brother went and actually tried to talk with them. It's like, no racists at Barnes & Noble, you're giving a platform to white supremacy. And it's like, my brother's like, what's white supremacist about Anthony? He goes, they had no answer. They didn't even know. Like, they were just sent there. They grab these emotionally damaged people, they throw a sign in their hand, and tell them to get all fired up about this horrible person. And they don't even know what they're doing. I honestly believe that's the majority of Antifa and this weird left-wing socialist communist thing that's going on. They really don't. They're damaged people. It's like going to Comic-Con where they dress up. They like dressing up in their little superhero outfit with shields and a stick and masks and goggles and stuff, and they're fighting this perceived evil like a superhero because they're mental. They're really mentally disturbed people, and for the most part, they're just laughable, but they're also dangerous. There are a certain amount of them, I think, that I wouldn't put it past them to do deadly harm to people. And they've been known to show up and be violent at other people's events, write leaning speakers they call alt-right or Hitler or Nazis. And they've been known to start the violence at most of these events. So while they're dangerous, they are mostly just these childlike emotional disasters.
Speaking of childlike emotionless disasters, Gavin McInnes. Gavin's show was on your network for a long time. He went to crtv.com, which is funny. There was news reports yesterday that you and I both covered on our shows that the FBI has been calling the Proud Boys a extremist group with ties to white nationalism.
Yeah.
The Proud Boys came out of Compound Media.
Yeah. It was a joke. The whole thing started as a joke.
I think it's still a joke.
It's still a joke. But some people have taken it so seriously, and it's perfect for the news. Because the Proud Boys, or Gavin more than anybody, has really no recourse. Once you're called a Nazi and a white supremacist, and you're the head of a white supremacist group, you can't shake that.
Right.
You can't then chastise the media for lying about you or blowing some joke out of proportion. No one will hear that, because the only people that can get it out to the masses are the news, and they're the ones perpetrating the lie. So poor Gavin, who, by the way, I've said it time and time again, is a great guy. He's so talented. He's clever. He knows parody and satire better than anybody. And that's what this whole thing is. I read a quote from him yesterday in a story that kind of rebuts the FBI thing. And it said, this is like we took it from the Loyal Order of Water Buffaloes, from Fred and Barney and on the Flintstones. Like, it's that kind of thing. And I'm like, God, that's brilliant. It is.
It is.
It's like a goof. But you listen to the news, and then law enforcement gets a hold of it, and they're this dangerous right-wing group. White nationalists with black people and Asians and Hispanics. It's the worst run white nationalist group I've ever seen. It's the most diverse racist group ever. I can't believe it, but leave it to Gavin. Leave it to Gavin. That guy could muster up an amazing thing like this and have it twisted and turned to where he is literally Hitler.
So he's been kicked off of Twitter, Facebook, including the page for his show was kicked off of Facebook and Instagram. Maybe he can still use his phone. I don't know.
I don't even know at this point.
I have not spoken to him. I can't. CRTV is very boomer friendly, right? That's their audience. Like, I've done his show a couple of times. You're not allowed to curse on it. They have to bleep it.
Yeah.
If worst came to worst and CRTV and him had to part ways, would you welcome him back to Compound?
Oh, in a second. I've said, and this isn't comparing Gavin to anybody more nefarious than himself, but I would put anyone on Compound Media, because
that's obviously true.
You made
that's clear.
I am a complete
4 nights
absolutist.
a week.
4 nights a week. I'm a First Amendment absolutist. I honestly believe anyone and everyone has the right to speak their opinions on whatever, no matter how repugnant others find it. I think they have a right to say something, and you have a right to rebut that. You don't have a right to eliminate the person from society. You don't have a right to trash the person's reputation. If all they have is an opinion, and again, they're not using it to oppress anybody, they're not inciting violence, then why should they be removed from society, have a reputation? You could have a person with an impeccable reputation, goes to work every day, raises a family, responsible, never been in trouble with the law. But if they have an opinion that people find repulsive, they're outcast, and they shouldn't work. They shouldn't be able to live in your community, which is ridiculous. A lively debate is the answer to that. So I would have anyone on. I don't care who it is. I would have Anthony Weiner. When we're talking about Anthony Weiner, the guy is a despicable prick. I mean, sexting a 16-year-old girl. It's terrible.
Do you just hate him because he's Hispanic, Carlos?
Yes, Carlos Danger. What a great name.
Yeah.
But I mean, if he wants to be on my platform, Compound Media, I would allow him and then let people call up and lambaste him, trash him, get into a debate with him about it, whatever. But I don't like the idea of people being silenced at all, ever.
What do you disagree with Gavin about?
Let me think, because that's pretty interesting. I'm on board a lot with what Gavin says, and the other stuff. Perhaps I think sometimes he's goofing. I think sometimes he's being sarcastic.
He's trolling,
and he's trolling.
But it's hard, but when he trolls, his delivery, you can't tell if he's trolling. And and then it becomes also could be a convenient excuse. It's like people do this a lot. Like, oh, I'm just joking. It's like, no, you weren't. You were being an asshole.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
But I take more away from Gavin, like when I see him at my house with his family and stuff. You find out so much more about somebody like that than you do an entertainment show. I mean, the guy is absolutely trying to make he's doing an entertainment show. Let's be real here. Most people, under the guise of news, it's an entertainment show. And he obviously is doing that. So when you see him with his family, and his kids are just so sweet and like polite as hell when they come over, and his wife
kids are adorable. I've met his kids. They're adorable. Yeah. You can't believe they're Gavin's kids.
I know. And that's a testament to how he really is. Like, he's a reasonable guy, which is hilarious. If you don't know him, you'd be like, what? That guy reasonable? But, his opinions in public are kind of hard to decipher if he's goofing or not.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty online. I can't really, off the top of my head, think of anything I really disagree with him on. Do you have anything really there?
Yeah, I think he sometimes plays what you just said. He sometimes plays a little coy with ideas that could be, I don't like using this word dangerous, there's got to be a better word for it, but when he dances around things a little, and that stupid people could take that into a bad direction.
Oh, they have.
Yeah, and they have.
Yeah.
So I think it's very good that when I was talking to him about Charlottesville, I was there for my book, and I said there were Proud Boys there. He interrupted me and very upset. And I believe him. He goes, I told them if they go there, you're kicked out of Proud Boys.
Yeah.
And I think at a certain point, you can't be clear enough about denouncing that stuff. But when you're if you're a Democrat, your next door neighbor is the socialist. And if you're a socialist, your next door neighbor is the communist, right?
Yeah.
So they're next door neighbors, the Proud Boys, to a lot of, I think, ideologies that he personally would hate. But you can see why people would somehow lump in together because they hate the same things.
Right. Yeah. I could see that. And yeah, I see how he does. He is coy with some things. And you're like, you're not that naive, by the way, to not think that this is going in that direction.
No, and the one thing I talk about this in the book, when he had that article about calling people who are transgender mentally ill, or he told them crazy, whatever. The point I made is, that's a big word, mentally ill. It could mean someone who's depressed or someone who's on the street eating their shit, right?
Yeah.
And they're both mentally ill.
Right.
So to use that term broadly is to equate one with the other, and I think that's kind of a linguistic trick that I wasn't a fan of.
But, I mean, still, it's an opinion.
Oh, which she's absolutely entitled to.
It's an opinion, and people get fired and lose their reputations over just opinion. I like this angle too, when somebody in the media asks a question of someone. What do you think about this? And you give an opinion, and then you lose everything. It's like, you asked. Like, what? Either I should push the mic away and go, get away from me, you're trying to hurt me, or lie. Like, those are the only two options. Right. If I'm honest with you and actually answer your question, I will be exiled from society and my business and living a life. So why would I answer that?
I got a question to put you on the spot.
All right.
Of all the shows on Compound Media, I think there's 8 or 9.
Yeah.
How many of them do you actually watch?
Oh, my. Let me think. Actually watch.
Because that's a lot of time every
It
day.
is a lot
of time.
I can't. I don't watch any of them consistently.
Sure, it's not possible.
I pop in, and I've watched like in Hot Water. I think I've watched more than anything else.
They're great guys.
Gino and Aaron are
great guys.
Talk about mentally ill.
Yeah.
That is really just and people think I'm joking when I say I tune in and I go like, oh man, that's too far. That's too far. But I do. I go like, oh my God, they can't do that. I love it though.
Yeah.
So I that Eastside Dave, because I know he's just another mentally ill person that's on my network. So I pop in and watch that. And then I come in and see live, like I when I come in to do my show, Brennan's finishing up with Burning Bridges. So I'm eating my lunch and my back is to the studio. I'm in that little corner so I could hear what's going on through the closed door. And Kevin screaming and yelling gives me dad flashbacks. I literally get like, it sounds like dad is yelling at somebody, mom, in the other room, and it's uncomfortable.
So your shirt says "Come and take it."
Yeah.
They took your guns.
They took my guns for a limited time.
Oh, okay. You're getting them back.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, they did. I it's so ironic because so many years preaching the Second Amendment and that it is a right of the people, and everybody would be like, all the liberals, no one's coming to take your guns. And then they came and took my guns. So,
in their defense, if you're wearing a shirt that says "Come and take it," you are welcoming him to do so.
You know what? Maybe
the shirt has the wrong message. It's saying it's welcome. It's welcome in. Come and take it.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, you want some pie? Come and take it. Oh, okay, thank you.
It was different, I guess, with Texas.
Yeah,
when they said "come and take it," it was more of a taunt.
Yeah,
not a request.
It's a welcome. It's their welcome.
Yeah. Well.
What do you miss most about the Opie and Anthony Show?
I'm by nature I am kind of I like consistency. I don't like stress.
Creature of habit.
Yeah. I'm a creature of habit. It was kind of nice to just wake up at a set time every day, go in, leave, set time every day, and that was, I fulfilled my daily responsibility.
Right.
Done. This, while it's exciting, it's great that I have this freedom and the ability to say what I want without getting in trouble every 2 seconds is very cool. But there's that added stress of it's yours, This is my baby. Yeah. I have to make it work. And, I get calls. And when the tech end of it, we had a problem launching the app that was a pain in the ass. And a lot of people were complaining. And I had to be on the phone with the people that run the servers. And that's not me. Yeah. That is not me. I am an in front of the mic guy for the show. And that's it. So I've had to delegate a lot of responsibility to other people to do that kind of thing. But then I have to still keep in touch with them and see what's going on. And that's the part of it I don't like. And I do miss just running in and running out. And then the other
the clock.
20 hours is all my time. And now, at any time I'm getting calls. I have to be in for other things and meetings, and I'm just not that guy. I don't like it.
So one of the things that you talk about in the book is growing the Anthony Cumia show from just you in your basement, your studio in your basement, to having a studio in Manhattan and having a whole network. Can you talk about that process? What were the big growing pains along the way?
Yeah, at first it was like a lifeboat. I wanted to still be on the air. It was, damaged goods. Once satellite radio throws you off, there aren't many options.
Right.
So I could either have just packed up and retired somewhere, go to Pennsylvania, find some acreage, and just go out there with a bunch of guns and whatever,
become the Unabomber,
start a militia. Or I could continue broadcasting in some capacity. I had the studio built in my basement. I was a video caster hobbyist for years before I got fired. As a matter of fact, it got to the point where SiriusXM was upset at what I was doing. They wanted me to stop doing it because they felt I wasn't being exclusive to them with content. I'm like, it's me in my house. I'm in my basement singing karaoke. Leave me alone.
You're right.
You know, this is my life. So they laid off of me on that. But I was just buying more equipment. I wanted it to look exactly like the news. I wanted it to be crystal clear HD. I wanted lower thirds. I wanted the box in the corner with a video roll. But the newscaster was just drunk, obnoxious, and cursing. I thought that was great, and that's what I wanted. So I went to B&H photography, video equipment. I bought everything I need, a lot of trial and error. But when I finally got the product I wanted, I had a lot of fun with it over the years. And then when I got fired, you do what you do when you're fired. You lay on the couch and drink.
Yeah.
And feel sorry for yourself. And then Keith came in and he's like, you got that studio in the basement. What are you doing? Let's throw something together. And the hardest part initially was figuring out the logistics, trying to get what's happening in the basement out to a lot of people. Because when I was doing it in my basement, I was on a server from Livestream or whatever it was. And, you know, you're not getting that many people watching because it was so spontaneous. I would just pop on at 3 a.m. So it wasn't all that much needed. When we're trying to get out to thousands of people, now you got to step up the server thing. And again, it becomes a technical issue. So that was tough. And then when the Legion of Skanks was doing their show at my house, and they need their Legion of Skanks to come over, their fans, that started getting a little weird. It's in my house. Yeah. They're in my pool. You know, we're partying every night, and it just got weird, and we knew it was necessary to move to New York City, the studios.
You did something really shitty that you talk about in your book.
I've done a few shitty things.
No, this one I was
book.
like, oh, this is shitty. Andrew Breitbart was on your show.
Oh, yeah.
And he had the dick pic, and he had it on his phone uncensored. No one had the uncensored pic.
Right.
And he's passing it around the room, and you, Mr. Internet Pioneer, were having a thing where you were kind of live streaming from the studio on computer, on the internet.
Video conferencing.
Conferencing.
Yeah.
And you take that phone and you hold it, in front of the camera so everyone at home gets that dick pic, which they screen capped and sent out.
Yeah, they got the picture of the picture on his phone.
Yeah.
And then it was released, and we became part of the story, which was good. But Andrew was pretty pissed.
Do you blame him?
No, I don't. But again, when you're in that studio, it's all you're thinking. How can we get some type of media attention? You know, what are we going to do to top our last gag that we did? How do we get in the news? Oh, my God, we haven't done anything in a while. Oh, we got to. It becomes an obsession. And you will. The cost doesn't matter. Friendships, relationships.
Fine. Wait, how did you find out he was upset? And how did he?
Oh, he told me.
Wait, on the phone or in person on the show?
No, he called me up
and,
and yelled. He was really mad. I felt terrible at that point because I'm trying to oh, God, because you can't explain that.
Right.
I'm an addict. I need ratings and I need success and outrage. And
What was he saying specifically?
He was like, you son of a bitch. That was, I needed that because that was, it was leverage for other things I was working on. You promised.
So he knew you did it on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
Did you pretend, oops, it was an accident?
Yeah, I tried to.
And he was like, yeah, bullshit.
He's like, get out of here. No, it wasn't an accident.
Oops, I'm just going to hold it here
I'm going to hold it here completely still.
For 30 seconds.
Right in front of the camera. Yeah. So I do feel bad about that.
Were you apologetic on the phone?
Yes, yeah.
But he wasn't having it.
I don't think it worked.
The damage was done.
Yeah. I should probably call him up and apologize.
Oh, God.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I felt really bad. And we had, there were nights after Red Eye that myself and Greg Gutfeld and Ann Coulter and Andrew would go out and go to a bar, and all the people I've just named drink a lot, or Andrew really could tie one on, and we would just be laughing our asses off. So I felt bad, like I fucked him over. Like that is something I do regret doing in hindsight. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that your last question? Is any other regrets?
In hindsight, you can regret a little bit of everything that's gotten you in trouble. Like I do regret not hitting the dump button when the couple was having sex at St. Pat's.
Okay.
And Paul Mercurio called up our show and said, "Hey, they're here at St. Pat's having sex," and me and Opie looked at each other. We both had dump buttons on our console, as did a guy in a locked room down the hall.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want anything bad going out. And we both were like, nah, and didn't hit it.
Right.
And it went out. So, maybe hitting that button. But again, in hindsight, we'd have been fired 20 more times after that.
Right.
So
right.
It was just a matter of time.
Okay, Anthony Cumia, thank you so much. The new book is called Permanently Suspended. It is out today.
Yes, today. Go buy it.
Available on Amazon, wherever books are sold.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you so much, and I will see you all next week. You are welcome.